Wow.
Jake Paul, I mean, as of right now, for what he's doing, it's good for what he's doing. But once he fights a real fighter, it's going to be bad. YouTubers and keep putting them in there with MMA guys.
Yes.
That's kind of over the hill. He's going to continue to shine.
Floyd Mayweather recently shared his thoughts on the much-discussed Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight, offering some surprisingly positive comments despite his ongoing feud with Paul. Meanwhile, Tyson's fans were briefly worried when he experienced dizziness and nausea during a flight due to an ulcer flare-up, but Tyson reassured everyone that he was fine and ready for the fight. The event, streamed live on Netflix and held at at&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, had a sold-out crowd eager for action. Unfortunately, the highly anticipated showdown didn't go as expected. What was supposed to be chaotic turned into a series of mishaps with buffering issues, miscommunications, and even a flash of Tyson's backside during the undercard. Jake Paul entered in a green convertible with his brother Logan, while Tyson made a legendary walk to the ring in his classic style.
And now they're finally walking out. It's all this theatrical stuff that's happening right now. I just want to see these guys fight. I don't care about your car. I don't care about 30 minutes of commercials. I hope Mike Tyson walks out like a G, like a praying. He just walks out like, I'm here to box. Now, I'm not saying Mike Tyson can't win. I'm just saying, we'll see. Maybe he's gonna defy age. Bar one. Mike Tyson. Holy. Okay, that right hand though, 2 minutes is not long enough. 2 minutes is very, very.
In the early rounds, Tyson energized the crowd with flashes of his old ferocity, but as the fight wore on, his punches slowed and Jake Paul, 27, started to find his rhythm. Paul didn't land a knockout, but his jabs and counters earned him points over 8 2-minute rounds. After 16 minutes of mostly light jabs and awkward pacing, the judges gave Paul a unanimous win. The crowd, expecting a brawl, booed as the match felt more like a sparring session. Tyson, despite showing grit, struggled physically, leaving fans disappointed but respectful. At 58, Tyson was a shadow of his former self, struggling to mount an offense with just 18 punches compared to Paul's 78. Wearing a knee brace, Tyson admitted to fighting through a leg injury. Despite some early glimpses of his old self, Tyson was clearly outmatched by the younger, peak-conditioned Paul. The result, though predictable, was hard to watch for boxing fans who saw one of the greatest heavyweights ever struggle against a social media star. Tyson's return to professional boxing, after nearly 2 decades, left the question lingering. Would he dare to do it again?
You have no idea how much I'm praying that you are right. I do not want to see Mike Tyson get knocked out. I really, really don't. I'm proud at how his life has evolved and, and all of this stuff after all that he's been through. I don't wish this brother to get knocked out. But, fellas, he's 31 years older than Jake Paul. 31. Do y'all understand? I'm going to put this in perspective. I was just telling somebody here in studio in LA this. Do y'all know more than 20 years ago, Mike Tyson got dropped in a fight from sheer fatigue? Wasn't even hurt, but still extended his hand to reach out for the referee to help him up. He actually had a second there where he was looking for the referee to help him up because he was so tired. You understand that he could barely get up. That was 20 years ago. So if that was you 20 years ago, what am I supposed to believe about you now? Now, in the case of Jake Paul, I'm conflicted.
Jake Paul secured his 11th professional win, though many of his previous victories against MMA fighters and lesser-known boxers have been less than impressive. His journey has been unconventional but effective, and after beating Tyson, Paul is now eyeing bigger challenges, even teasing a potential fight with Canelo Alvarez.
I tried to give the fight the best fight I possibly could, but when someone's just surviving in the ring, basically, it's hard to make it exciting. So I couldn't really get him to engage me or slip shots and, do something super cool or whatever. But I I don't care about what people have to say. They're always going to have something to say, and that it is what it is. There was a point where, I was just like, okay, he's not really engaging back. And so I don't know if he's tired or whatever. And I could just tell, his age was showing a little bit. And I just have so much respect for him. And that like violence war thing between us, like after he slapped me, I wanted to be aggressive and take him down and knock him out and all that stuff, but that kind of went away as the
fight at the Dallas Cowboys Stadium, drawing 72,300 fans and a star-studded audience, was a clash of two boxing eras. For Tyson, it could mark the end of his professional career, while for Jake Paul, it's just another chapter in his unconventional journey to dominate the sport. Paul, now with a controversial 11th win, defeated the 58-year-old Tyson, a Hall of Famer, in his first professional bout since 2005. This was a redemption fight for Paul after his February loss to Tommy Fury, marking his 5th win in a row. But this matchup was on a different level.
Man, I just felt so mentally focused and locked in. There was no nerves, no adrenaline. Even though my body wasn't as good in shape because of my ankle sprain, I just mentally, everything's slowing down in the ring. I'm not getting as nervous and stuff like that. So that was
Did you notice there's 75,000 people watching? Did that get to you at all? How many people thought
Did I notice it? No, honestly, it's harder fighting in an arena because it's louder. In the stadium, it's not that loud.
Tyson, the former undisputed heavyweight champion with 44 knockouts, was up against a younger, sharper Paul who outpaced and outmaneuvered Tyson throughout. The 27-year-old Paul looked fresher and more mobile, while Tyson, wearing a leg brace, struggled with age and injury.
But, unfortunately, everybody wasn't surprised. Mike Tyson ended up losing this fight to Jake Paul. My heart wanted Mike Tyson to win, but my mind was like, Jake Paul's going to win. He's 30. He just recently had as an amateur. He has a very expensive amateur career where he's being paid. Reason why I say it is when you look at boxing, an amateur at least has 25 to 30 fights under their belts before they go pro, and they either go to the Olympics. Where Jake Paul's taking a different route, where he's picking and choosing the athletes that he's fighting, and some of these guys are tough. They're all tough. I'm not saying they're bad, but they're all amateurs as well because they don't have as many fights. Now, the two gentlemen that he did fight recently, the guy he knocked out, the guy who was delivering pizza, and the gentleman Rhino who left boxing to go work at Oral Rig. You got to take into consideration these guys left boxing and they're coming back to get a check. But granted, they were both a lot older than Jake Paul. I believe the pizza boy was 35, and I can't remember how much the oil gentleman is as well. So that's why I'm considering as an amateur. What would I like to see next for Jake, who's on a who's maybe 15-1, 12-2, 13-4 in boxing, his age, and has a nice amateur career, maybe 30 fights, 40 fights as amateur. But the culture in boxing is totally different, right? Before I went pro as a professional mixed martial artist, I had at least 20 fights, 5, maybe 4 jiu-jitsu tournaments. I had a boxing match, Muay Thai match, shoot boxing match, kickboxing match, and I had at least 15 mixed martial arts fights before I went pro. So it's a little bit different. So that's why I view this as his amateur career right now, and he's making a lot of money.
Despite an ulcer flare-up that delayed the fight, Tyson's performance was lackluster. Paul landed 78 punches out of 278 to 28%, while Tyson connected on just 18 out of 97 to 18%. Although Paul didn't score a knockout, he stunned Tyson early and maintained control. By the 3rd round, it was clear Tyson was outmatched, and the fight was no longer in his favor.